right, when disaster strikes, as it is expected to in Florida and elsewhere, the government's always there. FEMA's there. We're going to talk to the FEMA administrator shortly. But, you know, it's not as if we have a lot of money for this thing, putting it quite crassly. We're running a big deficit. We've got almost $20 trillion in debt. And now globally, word is that the whole world is, no pun intended, underwater. $152 trillion in debt. The IMF saying, you know, that keeps up. We could all go down if we don't start addressing that. Let's go to Market Watcher Dan Shaffer, Democratic strategist Taryn Rosenkranz, and Deputy strategist Cathy Lynn Taylor. Cathy Lynn, begin with you on this debt issue, and it kind of limits what we can do to handle disasters. What do you think?
It absolutely does. We're digging our own grave, both in America and abroad. And what's so concerning about what's going on right now is not only the debt in this country, which President Barack Obama has added more debt than any other president to our situation, but also the debt overall around the world. And it's not just how much debt that's so alarming right now, Neil. It's the rate at which that debt is growing. You have countries like China and Hong Kong whose debt is growing so exponentially quickly. Our debt here in America is almost at an all-time high. It hasn't been this high since World War II. If we can't find a way to stop the spending, put America's credit card back in our wallet, we have no way to then have money for states to do things like reinvest in infrastructure and jobs, for corporations to build new jobs. And that becomes a real problem for America and for every person here.
You know, Taryn, you think about it, too. And there's something Donald Trump touched on. I know you're not a fan of his necessarily, but this is a ticking time bomb in that we've got an ideal situation with rates so low for the markets and everything, but a slight uptick obviously adds to our debt, could pulverize the markets. So whoever gets in next January would be facing some big problems, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I definitely think it's something that we need to be taking into an account.
But neither candidate is, right? Neither candidate.
Well, that's what I was about to say. The tone of the debate right now is actually about who's going to increase it the least amount. It's not even about actually reducing it from where we are in this point in time.
You're right about that.
So, for example, Donald Trump's plan actually is increasing it. So for all of his talk about this and for all the concern, which, you know, we just brought up from my colleague there, I agree, right? Those are major concerns, which is why Donald Trump's plan, which actually has us going to the record high of 105% in the debt.
You're talking about a debt to GDP ratio, but Hillary Clinton doesn't address it either. I mean, there are different degrees.
It's lower. It brings it to 85%, which is what the Congressional Budget Office has projected will be
the debt builds under both plans. Now, the question is, what are we going to do about it? So, Dan, you follow this stuff. You know that it can't continue this. Now, it's sort of been like people in Florida were getting used to 11 years without hurricanes. Eventually, a hurricane comes. It's coming now. When is our financial hurricane coming?
It's probably right around the corner, Neil, because the way they're going to have to pay back this debt, whether it goes up or down, which I disagree with the other person there. I don't think that the debt's going to go up under Donald Trump based on the plan. But they're going to start to hunt for the money to pay it back. And I'm not just talking about the United States. I'm talking about what the International Monetary Fund is talking about. They're going to start taxation, or they're going to start cutting down benefits. Because remember, a lot of that debt is to benefit employees and workers that were promised paychecks when they retire. So this whole financial system eventually has to implode on itself, which will basically slow down the global economy to levels that we have not seen probably in 50 to 80 years. And that's why interest rates are at zero right now, because they're predicting what's coming. What will happen, though, is that interest rates will go up as the economies start to wind down even further into negative GDP territory. And that's what's going to be dangerous. That's what I'm really worried about.
That's where you don't have a lot of wiggle room. I mean, if you're at zero interest rates now, essentially, any slight uptick, especially on a debt this massive, and especially on markets that are priced for perfection, it's all bets off. Guys, I want to thank you on all this breaking news day and for your patience as well.